The first time Alex spoke in front of his classmates at Northbridge University, the room fell silent, not because his words carried weight, but because his accent did. He had rehearsed his presentation on global trade for days, writing every line phonetically so he wouldn't stumble. But the moment he opened his mouth, the whispers started. "Where's he from again?" someone muttered. A few laughed quietly when he said business as business. Alex tried to ignore it. He kept his tone steady, his eyes on the slides, but every syllable felt heavier than the last. When the presentation ended, the professor gave a polite smile. "Thank you, Alex. Perhaps next time slow down a bit." And then, as Alex returned to his seat, one voice, clear, sharp, cut through the room. "Or maybe learn to speak English first." Laughter broke out. He didn't look back, but he knew who said it. Ryan Keller, the golden boy of the class. Confident, American-born, perfect hair, perfect GPA. The kind of person who could insult someone and still get invited to parties. That night, Alex walked home through the rain, his presentation folder soaked, his throat burning. He called his mother back home in the Philippines. "Did you finish your project, Anak?" she asked. "Yes, Mama," he said quietly. "They liked it." He didn't tell her about the laughter, but as he hung up, something inside him hardened. Not anger, but resolved. If his voice made people underestimate him, then he'd make sure his work would silence them instead. Over the next months, Alex stopped trying to sound right. Instead, he focused on mastering what no one could mock: precision, clarity, and data. He spent nights in the computer lab learning data analytics, machine learning, and linguistic modeling. He was fascinated by how algorithms understood patterns better than people did. Machines don't judge your accent, they just read your accuracy, he thought. By the time senior year came, Alex was the go-to guy for any project that needed clean data or smart analysis. Even Ryan Keller had once asked him for help, though he phrased it as a collaboration. Alex agreed, but never forgot. When graduation arrived, Ryan got a job offer from a major consulting firm. Alex, meanwhile, took a quieter path, a small research position at a startup specializing in speech recognition software. It didn't sound glamorous, but Alex saw potential. Because while everyone else tried to speak perfectly, he was learning how to make machines listen perfectly. 5 years later, the world had changed. Voice technology exploded. Companies wanted systems that could understand any accent, from London to Lagos, from Manila to Mumbai. And no one understood that better than Alex. He became the lead developer of LinguaFlow, a communication training platform using AI to help people speak more clearly without losing their identity. His accent was still there, proud and unpolished, but now when he spoke at conferences, people leaned in to listen, not out of curiosity, but respect. Then one morning, as his assistant dropped a stack of new client contracts on his desk, Alex froze. The logo on the top sheet was unmistakable. Keller and Grant Communications, Ryan Keller's company. They wanted to license his software. Alex stared at the logo on the proposal like it was a ghost from another life. Keller and Grant Communications, a sleek PR firm known for high-end clients and even higher egos. The request was simple. They wanted LinguaFlow's system to enhance intercultural communication and eliminate misinterpretation in client interactions. The irony made him laugh out loud. He could still hear Ryan's voice from years ago. Learn to speak English first. Alex leaned back in his chair, tapping his pen against the contract. He didn't believe in revenge, but poetic justice, that was something different. "Schedule a meeting," he told his assistant, "with Keller and Grant. I'll handle this one personally." 3 weeks later, the meeting room in the LinguaFlow headquarters gleamed with glass walls and soft lighting. It was the kind of place that made people instinctively lower their voices. Minimalist, professional, intimidatingly calm. Ryan Keller walked in, exactly as Alex remembered. The same confident posture, the same polished smile. Only now there were faint lines around his eyes. Success had aged him, or maybe stress had. Behind him came two junior associates, all designer suits and practiced grins. "Mr. O'Connell," Ryan said, extending his hand. "Thank you for meeting us. I've heard a lot about LinguaFlow's technology. Impressive stuff.
Alex shook his hand. Good to see you again, Ryan. It's been, what, 10 years? Ryan blinked. I'm sorry, have we met before? Alex smiled lightly. Yes, Northbridge University, global trade class. You once gave me feedback on my presentation. There was a flicker of confusion in Ryan's eyes, then realization. Oh, right, that was ages ago. I didn't realize that I'd learned to speak English. Alex finished for him. The room went quiet. One of Ryan's associates coughed softly. Alex smiled again, calm and professional. Don't worry, I just wanted to make sure you remembered where we left off. Ryan shifted in his chair, trying to regain composure. Well, in any case, your software could be a game changer for our communication teams. We've been struggling with cross-cultural misunderstandings. We're hoping to integrate your system to improve clarity and tone for our international clients. Alex nodded. So you need a system that helps your employees sound more natural, more articulate, and perhaps less judgmental. Ryan forced a smile. Exactly. As the presentation began, Alex clicked through slides showcasing LinguaFlow's AI, a technology built not to erase accents, but to help people express themselves authentically. He played demo clips of real users, voices from Kenya, India, Brazil, each one distinct yet clear and confident. Our goal is not to make everyone sound the same, it's to make everyone understood. Ryan's associates nodded enthusiastically, but Ryan himself just stared, half impressed, half unsettled. This is remarkable, he said. But tell me, Alex, why the focus on accents? Why not just standardize communication? You'd make more money. Alex looked him dead in the eyes. Because people tried to standardize me. The silence that followed was thick. Even the hum of the AC felt louder. After the presentation, they walked out to the lobby to finalize details. Ryan's tone softened, almost uneasy. Look, about what I said back then, if I ever made you feel... I interrupted him, smiling kindly. You did, but that's why this company exists, so people like me wouldn't have to feel that way again. Ryan looked down, speechless. For the first time, Alex saw something in his old rival's eyes. Not arrogance, but shame. That evening, Alex stood by his office window overlooking the city lights. The contract was signed. Keller and Grant would become LinguaFlow's biggest client to date. He thought of his mother again, her voice, her pride, her gentle English lilt. For years, he had tried to sound less like her. Now, her voice lived in every algorithm he'd built. He whispered softly, "They finally listened, Mama."
A month after the contract was signed, Keller and Grant began rolling out LinguaFlow across their regional offices. Alex had moved on to other projects, but one morning his phone buzzed with an urgent message. Emergency meeting with Keller and Grant, critical issue, please join. When the video conference opened, Ryan Keller's face filled the screen, pale, stressed, his usual confidence nowhere to be seen. Alex, he began, voice tight, we've got a crisis. One of our biggest international clients, the Tokyo division of Orintech, just froze their partnership. They said our team offended them in a call, something about tone and word choice. Alex frowned. Did you record the call? Ryan nodded. Yes, I'll play it. The clip began, a group of Keller and Grant executives talking to their Japanese counterparts about a product campaign. The words were polite, but the delivery, cold, rushed, overconfident. Every sentence carried the subtle arrogance of people who thought they were being clear, but didn't realize how condescending they sounded. Alex paused the video. You didn't understand what you said. You understood how you said it. Ryan rubbed his face. We used your system, Alex. I thought LinguaFlow was supposed to prevent this. It will, Alex said, but you can't automate empathy. You can only teach people to listen. Ryan exhaled, slumping back in his chair. So what now? 2 days later, Alex flew to New York to run an emergency training session at Keller and Grant headquarters. The staff filled the conference room, dozens of consultants, marketers, and executives, all skeptical, tired, and defensive. Ryan sat near the back, silent, nervously fidgeting with his pen. His confident exterior seemed to have melted, revealing a man who had finally realized the consequences of past arrogance. Alex began the session not with slides, but with a question. How many of you have ever felt misunderstood because of how you sounded, not because of what you said? No one raised a hand. A few exchanged glances. Uncomfortable. Alex nodded slowly. Interesting. Then you've never been on the other side of the conversation, the side that gets ignored, laughed at, or politely dismissed because the rhythm of your words doesn't match someone else's expectation. He projected a waveform on the screen, two identical sentences, one spoken by a British executive, the other by a Nigerian entrepreneur. Same message, Alex said, different sound. Which one do you instinctively trust more? Murmurs ran through the room, heads tilted, eyebrows furrowed. He smiled. That reaction, that hesitation, is what we call linguistic bias, and it's one of the most expensive problems in global business. Alex split the group into pairs. Each pair received scripts in foreign accents, not to mock, but to experience the challenge of being understood. Some stumbled, laughed nervously, and tried again. Others resisted, arguing, "This isn't realistic." Alex walked among them, gently correcting pronunciation, tone, and pacing while explaining, "Notice how your partner reacts. You're not just hearing the words, you're interpreting their rhythm, emphasis, and confidence. That's why misunderstanding happens. Every accent carries a culture. Every voice carries intent." By the end of the first hour, subtle shifts began. Employees adjusted their speaking style, listened more carefully, and started asking questions instead of assuming. Ryan watched in awe, his ego bruised but his mind open. He whispered to his assistant, "He's brilliant. I never realized how much I underestimated speech itself." Alex then brought in live examples from previous client interactions, anonymized but vivid. A misunderstanding with a London client over budget allocation, the phrase sounded curt, causing tension. A New Delhi branch misinterpreted project timeline as criticism instead of suggestion. Each example triggered small group discussions, reflecting on how tone can destroy relationships even if words are perfect. Alex's face softened. Communication is power, but it's subtle. Misused, it alienates. Applied wisely, it unites. Hours passed, lunch came and went unnoticed. People were engaged in exercises, role-playing, and open discussions about their own biases. By mid-afternoon, Ryan finally raised his hand. "Alex, I have to admit this is life-changing. I never thought my team needed this perspective, especially me. I see now that we've been sending arrogance instead of confidence." Alex smiled. "The first step is awareness. The next is practice. You'll make mistakes, but the important thing is to notice and correct them." Ryan leaned back, conflicted, reflecting on his journey. He had mocked accents, he had judged, he had overlooked talent, and now the same person he had underestimated was guiding his company to survival. The irony was not lost on him. Weeks passed. The partnership between LinguaFlow and Keller and Grant deepened. The Tokyo client returned. Other international partners followed. Within months, Keller and Grant's reputation began to shift. No longer the loudest in the room, but the most trusted. Alex received messages from employees. "I never realized how biased I was. Your exercises actually changed how I speak. We feel like we're finally being heard." One evening, Alex received a personal email from Ryan. "Alex, I owe you more than you know. You didn't just fix communication, you fixed us. And for that, I'm grateful. Ryan." Alex smiled quietly at his desk, glancing at the skyline. The world hadn't completely changed, but his work was creating ripple effects. The lesson was clear. Respect isn't earned by words alone, but by listening, understanding, and applying knowledge with integrity. That weekend, I received a letter from my mother, handwritten, delicate. She'd seen a feature about LinguaFlow in a business magazine. "They say you are teaching people to listen better."
You were always good at listening, even when they didn't listen to you. Alex folded the letter carefully and placed it on his desk. He looked out the window. The same city that once made him feel small now sparkled with opportunity. He whispered, "They're learning, Mama. One word at a time."
Months after the training sessions, LinguaFlow had become more than a software company. It was a symbol. Corporations began approaching Alex, eager to integrate the AI-driven communication program into their global teams. Accents no longer held people back. Differences were now celebrated as part of efficiency and understanding. One afternoon, Alex received an invitation he didn't expect, an industry awards gala in Manhattan, honoring innovators who had redefined global business communication. Ryan Keller's name appeared on the guest list as well, though he was now a humbled participant. Alex smiled at the irony. The man who once mocked him would now share the same stage, this time in the role of recognition, not ridicule. The gala hall was grand, filled with crystal chandeliers and tables of business titans. Cameras flashed, capturing smiling faces, and murmurs of admiration floated in the air. Alex, dressed in a tailored dark suit, scanned the room. He noticed Ryan near the podium, rehearsing his speech for the CEO award. Their eyes met briefly, and Alex saw genuine respect in Ryan's gaze, not just for the technology, but for the journey that had brought Alex here. When the host announced Alex as the winner for the Global Communication Innovator Award, applause erupted. As he ascended the stage, Alex thought back to that first day at Northbridge University, to the laughter, the whispering, the humiliation. Every step along the way had led to this moment, not as revenge, but as proof that perseverance, skill, and integrity triumph over prejudice and arrogance. He held the award carefully, smiling at the crowd. "This recognition isn't just mine," he began. "It belongs to everyone who has ever been dismissed for how they speak, how they look, or where they come from. Communication isn't about erasing differences. It's about honoring them, understanding them, and making everyone feel heard." The audience erupted in applause. Ryan, sitting at the front, gave a small, respectful nod. For him, this wasn't just business success. It was a life lesson realized too late to change the past, but early enough to appreciate the present. After the ceremony, Alex returned to his table. Ryan approached him, a mixture of humility and admiration in his posture. "I never imagined it would come to this," Ryan said quietly. "You didn't just teach my company to communicate, you taught me humility." Alex smiled. "We all learn in different ways, Ryan. Some lessons are loud, some are quiet. I prefer the quiet ones." They shook hands, not as rivals, but as equals. A mutual understanding bridged the years of arrogance and prejudice. Back in his office the next day, Alex reviewed emails from around the globe. A Paris team thanking him for understanding their linguistic nuances. A Mumbai office praising his empathetic AI system. A Rio branch reporting a surge in client satisfaction thanks to LinguaFlow's insights. He leaned back in his chair, reflecting on the journey. The laughter from college, the subtle dismissals, the whispered "learn English first." They were still part of his memory, but they no longer held power over him. Instead, they fueled his drive to create something meaningful, something that changed the world one voice at a time. That evening, he called his mother. "Hello, Mama," he said, his voice steady and warm. "Alex, I saw you on the television. My son, you've made so many people proud." "I couldn't have done it without you, Mama," he replied. "You taught me to listen, to persist, to never let anyone define me by their ignorance." Her voice cracked softly. "And now the world listens because of you." Alex smiled, looking out the window at the city lights below. He thought of the countless students, interns, and employees who had laughed, judged, or underestimated others, and how many of them might now pause before speaking, just a little more conscious, a little more kind. He whispered softly to himself, it wasn't about revenge. It was about showing all of us, what real understanding looks like. LinguaFlow continued to grow, partnerships flourished, and the lesson echoed everywhere. Competence, empathy, and perseverance are louder than mockery, and the quiet genius, the one underestimated, is often the one who shapes the future. Alex placed the award on his shelf. The plaque reflected the warm glow of the office lights, A reminder not of humiliation past, but of victories earned through patience, skill, and humanity. He sat back, content. The world had changed, one voice at a time.